Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Flying Fluffy Hockey review of the Panthers 2-1 defeat in overtime at the hands of the Rangers in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Honestly, I can't even be that mad. Both teams played out of their damn minds. In the end, it just came down to which goalie was going to give up a weak chance, and that ended up being Bobrovsky last night. And you can't even blame a missed call because it's possible that high stick wasn't actually high, and at any rate, it was not reviewable. How's everybody doing this morning, or should I say this early afternoon? Hello, Daniel. How you doing? Well, look, let's not kid ourselves. The Rangers have a damn good defense. So do we. That that game basically you might as well have flipped a coin to determine which offense was going to strike in overtime. Yeah, Reinhardt and Chucky need to score. I do agree. Yeah, the Rangers are a tough team to beat, and we split the series headed back home, which is the Panthers' performance overall was much better in these first two games than I believe it was in the first two games against Boston, especially at no point did the Panthers look as terrible as we did in game one against Boston. So I think the Panthers just need to utilize the home crowd energy and uh, and get the series lead back on tomorrow. Tomorrow is a Sunday afternoon game starting at 3. So we've only won we've only scored one 5v5 goal. Um I guess you're not counting the own goal as a 5-on-5 goal for the Panthers. At least tomorrow you'll get to sleep. Yeah, it it is disappointing that we couldn't take a 2-0 series lead with how close we came, but it just means the Panthers have no ability to coast. The Panthers know that the Rangers are a tough team, and I think Paul Maurice will know what to say to Reinhardt and Kachuk in particular. I mean, Kachuk did score the game-winning goal in Game One. Just saying, Reinhardt is the one I'm kind of actually disappointed in. The first line overall has played great, but guy who's showing up on the score sheet is Barkov, whether it's in goals or usually assists. Reinhardt is you know, I don't think anybody expected him to have the same kind of insane numbers he did during the regular season, but some scoring would be nice. Colby says our offense is always missing in action every playoff year besides game 2 and 3 against Boston. Mike says Trocheck high sticked. Let's see. So look, the thing I would say is that this loss should be something the Panthers can learn from. At the same time, I don't believe that that loss should not be devastating the locker room. Yeah, the Bennett obviously still recovering from the hand injury. It would be nice to have him able to score. Honestly, so the entire offense so far against the Rangers has been Kachuk scoring a soft goal 5-on-5. Shesterkin giving it away to Verhaeghe, and then Verhaeghe's passing attempt ended up being put in the Rangers' net by Lafreniere. Bennett's empty netter, and Verhaeghe goal on the power play last night. So it's really only the second line that has actually been able to score. It's literally just Verhaeghe and Kachuk, and if you want to count Bennett's empty netter. So all the other lines have to be able to score, especially the first line. I am not sure if the lines will be changed up. Let's see if there's any news. Maurice says there's better skill on both teams than the plays that are being completed. I think it's a bit of a challenge right now. So Ekblad says it's tough to lose in overtime, but we went 1-1 in their building. They came out really, really explosive tonight, and that's what we expected. We lost a really tight game. We'll move on. We got a quick turnaround. Verhaeghe said that's what happens when you get the two best teams in the conference. It's going to be a battle. Erod on tomorrow's 3 p.m. puck drop. After a loss, it's nice to get right back into it. It'll be important for us to do the right things today and get recovered for tomorrow. Make sure you take care of your body, wake up, and get right back at it. Stenlin says, we're excited to get back home and play in front of our own fans. It's a quick turnaround, but we're ready for it. So it doesn't really sound like they've been devastated by this loss, as they shouldn't be. Rupi hints is a game time decision tonight in the Stars Oilers game. So Foxy Jane says, you think the Rangers just needed a game to pick up their level to conference final since they came off playing Washington, who isn't even a playoff team, and South Carolina. Now it's a real series for the Eastern Conference Finals. The level's been set. Sunswine says Tarasenko and Reinhart need to produce. Yes, absolutely. That much talent on the first line can't afford to be going goalless against the Rangers. IDK says it's not devastating, but the lack of offense is still a concern. Well, I appreciate that your takes today are not the Panthers are doomed, we're not winning another game. I appreciate that, and I will actually agree. The offense just needs to find the extra gear. The offense needs to find the extra gear. I think the Rangers responded very well to their loss in game 1. The Rangers got the victory that they needed to tie the series and avoid a commanding 2-0 lead for the Panthers. Tarasenko wanted to be a Ranger because of salary cap and restrictions on trading back to team you were traded to your prior. He's really good friends with Breadman and Sabanajad. So, yeah, yesterday's results shows how good both teams' defenses are. This is nowhere near done. It also shows how good the goaltending is.
Did they hear the air conditioner?
No, but the camera just turned off again.
Jeez. I got a brand new one. All right, so I'm going to teach you how to fix this so that you know what to do. See, go back to start cam.
Yeah, I think you had told me how to
start cam, and then you got to change back to settings. Go back to settings and USB. That's it.
All right.
Yep. Okay.
So
yeah, those are Chinese cameras. You know what they are.
Fox, and it immediately turns back off. Foxy Jane says that Chucky seems hurt since mid-Boston series. His points have dipped substantially since, and he's going butt first into every hit instead of leading with your shoulder hip.
He's been doing that butt first thing all year, though.
I see.
I mean, I'm not saying he's 100%, but he's been doing that all year. All right, did it go back to change it back to the right camera?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me just do this, and I'll be there in about 10 minutes.
All right.
Okay. Your mother's gonna text you when she's here.
Yeah, I got my phone. I'm sure she'll text me when she's here. Vesey is injured, will affect the Rangers' depth. Let's see what we've got. Let's see. So, oh yeah, by the way, uh Timberwolves, what happens? You had an 18-point lead and you blew it by giving up a three-pointer with 3 seconds left and losing 109 to 108. And now the Mavericks have a 2-0 series lead. Let's see. Let's see. How long does it take a sternum to put itself back together? Cruise Control thinks the Rangers, an older team, will run out of gas. Panthers offense needs to look for a pass a little more often if we are going to beat New York and Igor. Well, my opinion still remains that the Panthers need to set themselves up in front of Shesterkin to screen him and be in the correct position for possible rebounds. Golden opportunity after golden opportunity never comes because the juicy rebounds go to stretches of the ice where there are absolutely no Panthers anywhere. It's frustrating sometimes. Like, how many times do you have to watch as the puck goes right to a perfect shooting chance, but there you don't have anyone there? Like, I get that the Panthers style does not really allow for them to play out of position on either forecheck or back check, but still, just take a look at the Verhage goal last night. Rodriguez screens Shesterkin. Beck says Sharks in 6. So let's see what else we've got. I don't really have much else to say. I mean, the the Panthers simply need to do better on offense. And also, the Panthers penalty kill is the only reason that the game did not go. The Panthers PK is the only reason that the game went to overtime, because, well, that and the lack of scoring by the Panthers. Hello, Rosado. How you doing? So the the Panthers actually went 1 for 2 on the power play last night. It was the first power play goal we've had this entire series. bat and the handle of Shesterkin's stick and the post. Foxy James' Rangers are not an older team and have forward depth coming back to health, unlike our guys that are getting more hurt. Blake Wheeler, Rempe, Bo Kako, pick your choice to fill Vezzy. Well, yeah, of course. That's not really an excuse for the lack of scoring by the Panthers. The Panthers basically, if we continue to play our style of hockey, that should get us victories in this series, but we have to actually score. The system is not going to work unless you actually are scoring goals. Otherwise, eventually the other team is going to break through. Unless you're playing the Hurricanes, you can't score just one goal and expect to win. Serdar says Rangers can be physical. 57 hits. Rempe back in the lineup. Rangers can play the Panthers game and win. Plus, their big players haven't produced yet. Well, yeah, the Rangers power play, one of the deadliest power play units in these playoffs, has been silenced so far by the Panthers PK, but we don't know how much longer that'll last. You know, Panarin hasn't scored. Zibanejad hasn't scored. Trocheck has one goal so far. New York is short on defenders. They have a ton of wiener depth. Don't fight their wieners. Just focus on wearing down the D. What that requires are forwards being willing to grind in those dirty areas. Well, yeah, the Panthers are basically tailor built to frustrate the ever living hell out of the opponents by stifling the opponent's offense and then making the team pay for their defensive screw ups.
Okay.
Hey, Ego Bleedo, thank you for the 2. Thank you, Ego Bleedo, for the 2. Thank you. He says the Panthers not. He asks if the Panthers not scoring because of Rangers defense.
Yeah, I mean, look. First of all, let me get in here. How the hell is everybody? Okay. For those of you who are members, I have a podcast coming out about an hour after we're done here.
Emmerich has been a member for 4 months.
Thank you, Emmerich.
He says the series is 100% going to 7.
Yeah. Look, these two teams, it's rare in sports where you get a matchup where both teams are basically built to beat each other. So, like for either team, the closest to themselves is the other team. It's so ridiculously even, and both teams are just comfortable playing. If it's 1-1, both teams feel like we're in good shape. We got this. And that's the way it's gone back and forth, both games. So I saw some people on Twitter talking about, and actually a couple of comments, talking about maybe Reinhardt, Tarasenko, guys that aren't scoring, but nobody is scoring. I mean,
the second line is scoring.
The Panthers have allowed 1 regulation goal in 2 games. 1. And I don't think the Rangers guys suddenly started sucking either. You know what I mean? Trocheck has got the 1 regulation goal so, does that mean it's Zanajad or how the hell you say it? I mean, does that mean they're playing poorly? No. Just both teams are very content to focus on defense, let their goaltenders make the save and see where it goes. And I don't blame them because, if you start moving things around, start changing things around, open it up to maybe, get yourself a couple of goals, you're just going to allow a couple more goals. So we could either play 1-1 or we could play 4-4. But at the end of these games, for the most part, it's going to be tied or a 1-goal game. I know we won the first one 3-0, but we only put one of those in the net ourselves past Shesterkin, Yeah. So it's on purpose. Like when we interviewed Randy last year and we were talking about Lundell and his, lack of offense, he was very specific about how, each one of these players, especially guys like Lundell, they work so much on their defense, and they're not worried about scoring goals. The goals will come. And if you listen to Chucky's interviews this year, he's talking about how he's tried to improve on defense. So I get it. I get that we need more goals, but at the same point, either one of these teams, if you start making adjustments to get more goals, you're going to give the other team chances. Go ahead, Kiddo.
Costa says Tarasenko was a beast last night. They should play him on the right instead on his off wing. He has a great shot. They have to position on the right spot where he could score and shoot on the right side.
I don't disagree with that. It's just the way that our lineup is laid out. Reinhardt, you're not going to move Reinhardt off of the right. And I don't think Tarasenko, look at the rights, right? You got Reinhardt, you got Chucky. You're not going to move Verhaeghe off of the left. So you're not wrong. It's just where are you going to put him? If you went and put Tarasenko up next to Barkov on the right, I guess you could maybe put Verhaeghe, Barkov, Tarasenko, and then you'd have to have Bennett, Reinhardt, Tkachuk, so somebody's still going to be on their offsides. Now, maybe Tkachuk would be a better idea to play on the left than Tarasenko, but I don't know. I mean, I understand the desire to make some tweaks, but if my guess is correct, Paul Maurice probably won't make many changes. I saw some people on Twitter last night wanting to put Bennett back on the second line and move Lundell down. Lundell's the second line is the only one getting any goals.
Yeah, why would we want to change the second line? That's the only line that's.
So I mean, it's one of those things where we've got so many good players that any argument that you make to move a guy to a spot is going to sound good. You know what I mean? It's a good problem to have. Hell, I would not be against going back to Cousins with Bennett and Tkachuk and put Gadjevich in Cousins' spot or Lorentz in Cousins' spot, maybe to get some extra scoring there. But that's more of a defensive move than an offensive move. So I don't know if Maurice. I think if we get down in the series, you might see him make some changes to get some more offense. But I think as long as the series is tied, because the Rangers, the Rangers are in the same spot. They've got what? They got one regulation goal, right? They just got the one. The first one last night from Trocheck. That's the only goal they've scored in regulation.
Hey, Diego Blino, thank you for
Hey,
another.
Thank you.
Says, who has the edge on defense, Panthers or Rangers?
Whichever team has the wingers and the forwards that are in better physical condition. That's where it's going to end up. Both of these teams can do the same exact thing on defense. Which one of these teams on Sunday, since it's an early game and a short turnaround, which one of these teams is still going to have legs? Which group of forwards is still going to have legs in the third period to back check? That's the team that'll be playing better defense. Go ahead, Tim.
Foxy Jane says Chucky has to stop with the butt first checks, though. Not sure why he doesn't want to lead with the shoulder, but because he's not willing to, he ends up with his skates facing the wrong way.
Well, he did lay. There was one game, Foxy, I don't know if you watch every Panthers game, but there was a game about halfway through the season where Chucky really laid into somebody with his shoulder, and he went back to the bench in clear discomfort with his arm hanging down like halfway towards his knee. And I haven't seen him lay a hit with his shoulder since. Now, he has put some weight back on. If you look at Tkachuk now versus Tkachuk at the beginning of the season, he was really skinny at the start of the season because he was rehabbing. He didn't really have a chance to really, put any strength back on. If you look at him now, he's thickened up quite a bit. So, but, dude had a broken sternum, and I mean, I understand what you're saying, but he's got to stay healthy right now. Maybe next year if he puts a little bit more strength on, but it wouldn't surprise me to see that be a permanent thing with the lead and with the ass hits.
Mo Dean with an interesting claim. He says, Panthers already won this series. They played at Madison Square Garden without having line matchup advantage and played better overall than the Rangers. Now at home with line matchup advantage. Good night.
That is definitely one way to look at it.
What exactly does he mean by line matchup?
Okay, so when in terms of like changing, when you change the lines, when you're at home, you have the last change.
Yeah.
So if there's a face-off in the zone, if you're at home, the other team puts their guys out there, and if you want to change the guys that you're going to throw out there, you have the last change.
Yeah.
So if the home team, if you put your third line out there and the home team wants to throw their first line out there, you can't be like, oh, wait a minute, hold on, and get you have the last change.
Yeah.
So it's Maurice was talking about it, saying he wasn't worried about the matchups, but it's an interesting thought. I had not thought about that.
So Foxy Jane says the Rangers are also used to playing at 1 on Sunday since that is their home schedule during the regular season, so the Garden can be used for concerts on Sunday nights.
Oh, I did not know that. Did not know that. Huh. But usually if they're going to play on a Sunday, well, I got to go back and look at their schedule and see what they've had. I mean, it's going to come down to the third period, a game of this next game, game 3. I know Ekblad was saying in post game that they felt fresh enough; they weren't too worried about it. Remember, Panthers played 4 overtimes against the Canes, and even Bobrovsky went back out there on the ice in game 2, and we won that game. Go ahead, Con.
Let's see. Foxy says, I truly think Chucky would be better off checking hip first then because he's getting turned backwards and chasing the play when he's stuck in the O-zone, or he cheats defense to make sure he isn't caught.
Right. I mean, I've seen him do a couple with the hips. I understand what you're saying. But, no goals. You know what I mean? like we keep allowing no goals or one goal. You know, I've thought the same thing about how he ends up turned around, but this team is so good at covering for each other. I wouldn't want anybody worried about making changes to what they do at this point. It's just what we do is what we do, you know. But I'm really liking the way Lundell is playing. And what was disappointing last night was on that give and go with Barkov when he hit the crossbar. It was like, damn, we got to make good on our chances. But I'm sure that's what the Rangers were saying after game one, right? They hit the post.
Yeah.
So this series is turning into exactly what we all thought it would, which is, 7. We are going to be in game 7, probably heading to double overtime.
Yeah.
And we were all just, everybody make sure you've got your medication ready.
Yeah.
Because now the Panthers' air of invincibility in overtime no longer exists.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll realize that they are not invincible, and they might play just a little bit harder to try to win the sucker in regulation. Go ahead, Colin.
See him. Lint Lyot says hello from Twitch. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Foxy just says, I just think Chuck's is a step behind, and that's not important now. But God, if we see Edmonton, that's not gonna fly.
Right.
Yeah, we gotta show up in the next overtime.
Yeah, Rangers kind of took it to us a little bit there, especially early on in that overtime. I kind of felt like we were going to get out of that period a little bit, but I think we would have had the same jump in that situation where, okay, now you're in overtime, and now if they, if the Rangers, if they make one screw up, they're down 2-0 in the series. So, no, I'm not surprised they had the better of the effort in overtime because, if they go down 0-2 in that situation, it's a whole different planet.
Mike says that was also a damn good shot, though.
What's I can't read that.
Someone on Twitch claims they'll donate $1,000 if you do a push-up.
If I do that's easy. That's easy. I can do a bunch of push-ups. Go ahead, Kyle.
Well, they won't be able to see you on camera.
Huh? Put the camera on me.
All right.
I mean, I know he ain't gonna do it, but I'll do it.
Yeah, we know you're probably bluffing.
I know he's not gonna do it, but I'll do it.
Let's see.
Okay, I'll even do it with my palms.
Let's see. Okay.
All right.
One push-up.
Okay. He only said one.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm because if I do 2, then he's gonna say I won't give you the grand because I said 1.
Costa thinks so Reinhardt should go on the right side since he shoots left.
Right.
And Tarasenko on the right side since he shoots left. That will work. Just saying.
Well, we'll see. I will say that I have cooled off a little bit in my analysis of wanting to re-sign Tarasenko. I think I would rather start the year next year with Rodriguez up top and let Sam Miskevich start to develop on that third line a little bit. And then if we need to fill in the gaps come trade deadline, do that. But you gotta start making space for some of these kids because, Zito, right? He's the one that drafted Lundell. That was his first pick. I think we need to see what Sam Miskevich can do. I understand you didn't want to do it this year, but considering the cap constraints we're going to have next year, you should probably start the season, just put Rodriguez up top and then, put Sam Miskevich on that third line. But you never know what's going to happen in the offseason. With Lundell playing so well, don't forget Sam Bennett needs a contract. Next year is his last year on his deal. So you just never know what might transpire. I know Sam Reinhart is not making himself any money right now in these playoffs. He might have should have signed whatever contract. He might have should have signed his contract before the playoffs. What's Mike asking?
You guys think Pomo switches up the lines next game?
I don't think so. I think, being that we're even in the series, I think he'll start the game the same way. I think if we get to the second or third period and we need a goal and we're still losing 1-0, 2-1, you might see him pull the thing where he puts Kachuk up top with Barkov or something like that. Verhaeghe, Barkov, Kachuk, something like that. But I don't think he'll switch him up. I don't think he will, because defense first. And like I said, we've allowed 1 goal in regulation in 2 games. The miracle for the Rangers is that we didn't win both games. It's like Swayman, right? Swayman allowed 3 goals in the final 2 games, and he couldn't keep his team from being eliminated.
Lewis says adversity is good. Make us ready for the final if we make it.
Yeah. No doubt. I mean, look, we weren't going to sweep. I guess there's some Panther fans or somebody was on other channels talking about how Panthers were going to sweep.
It was like,
I don't know who would,
Yeah, well, I'd love to have whatever they were having.
Yeah, man, send me some of that. Whatever you were smoking when you said the Panthers were going to sweep, because I could use some of that stuff.
Colby says Bob has allowed 2 or less goals in 7 straight games.
Yeah, playoff games, no doubt. Yeah.
Colby says he also says he feels games 3 and 4 will be high scoring, so Bob's streak might break.
Yeah, Colby, I don't disagree. I was thinking about that this morning. It's like at some point, these teams are going to have to, you would think they might want to open things up a little bit. But who's going to blink first, right? Because when you open it up offensively enough, you take an extra couple chances, you're going to give up the opportunity for breakaways. Now, maybe us being at home, Maurice might be willing to open things up just a touch, because, if you're on the road and you give up a breakaway and they score, now you got the crowd and you got all that energy working against you. So maybe they'll open it up a little bit at home.
Colin says Reinhardt and Vladdy need to be better. Barkov has been carrying them on the offensive end.
Yeah, which is kind of the opposite the way it's supposed to be, right? Barkov should not be the goals on that line. It should be, Tarasenko needs to work himself into position, but he's been doing a lot of work along the boards. And that's one thing that they've talked about. I know it gets frustrating for us as fans because we have, like, this guy should do this guy should do that. But whenever you've heard Chucky, especially, or Barkov talk about it, it's like everybody's just going to do whatever they have to do in the moment for the team to be successful. I mean, hell, even Verhaeghe was back checking last night looking like Barkov. Remember that? Look it up.
Let's see. Colby says this series reminds him of 2021 Islanders Lightning. That was the Eastern Conference Finals, right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Just seeing if there's anything new. Let's see.
I don't think so. I don't even know if they've. Did they travel this morning or last night?
You have to assume that they traveled.
I don't know. I thought about it both ways. I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Lewis says still can't believe Barkov missed that goal. Which
I know. The one where he hit the give and go where he hit the crossbar.
Yeah,
there was a lot of that last night. No. They'll be all right. But whoever wins this series should be winning the cup. To me, obviously I'm biased, but I kind of feel like this is the Stanley Cup final. I mean, I know it's not, but I kind of feel like whoever loses this series would still have beaten either Edmonton or Dallas. Yeah, that's how I kind of feel about it. Skinner's played nice, and Ottinger Ottinger's the only one that can even come close to Shesterkin and Bobrovsky. I don't think Skinner would hold up under all that pressure for a full series.
But the high-end talent of McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah, but do they have the bottom end to do it? I have a feeling you're going to see a different Dallas team tonight too.
Lewis asks, what's your opinion on Ekblad's play?
I think he's looked pretty good since that game one. He's been getting better and better. Really last night, I can't think of anybody. I know mistakes were made, but there were no mistakes. You know what I mean? There was nobody that I could point to that I can think of that made any number of mistakes that would have stood out. Just both teams, especially the second period. It was just
no defense.
No, it wasn't. That was no defense. It was everything. It was exceptional offense versus exceptional defense, and then exceptional offense versus exceptional defense with two exceptional goaltenders. It was just good all the way around.
Mike says Rempe overrated, will adjust to his play and start to feast off his turnovers.
Yeah, I don't know what I get that. I get that the fans want to be excited about their young guys and everything, but I don't know what the media like. If he was like 6'3", they wouldn't make a big deal out of it. It's just because he's so big. But just like every other word from the broadcasters last night seemed to be about Rempe. They didn't really talk much about that Kulikov hit, though, did they? The one on Rempe.
Oh, yeah.
Talk much about that.
Hello, Rinkedik.
Hey, bud.
Yeah, it was fun to watch Kulikov bury Rempe in the wall.
Yeah, he got some help. If you rewatch it, Rempe was off balance and was probably going to go down, and Kulikov just helped him. And the way it looked like he got blasted. But if you watch the replay, Rempe was off balance.
Poseidon says the boys looked gassed in overtime.
I don't think that. They didn't look as good as the Rangers, but I think the Rangers just had more desperation, right?
Yeah.
And they're just human. Panthers going into that overtime going, all right, let's play our game. We split in New York is the worst thing that happens. And the Rangers go into that knowing that they are one minor mistake away from being down 0-2. So I think considering the stakes at hand, I think it was kind of what you would have expected. I was nervous going into that overtime because there's only so many overtimes in a row you're going to win, right? Eventually, even the 72 Dolphins eventually lost the game the next year. Eventually, an overtime game was not going to be Verhaeghe in overtime.
EK NYR says, good game, boys. I'm the enemy for this series, but I like your channel. Keep it up.
Much appreciated, bud.
So, Costa says, next game, Florida will score 6 goals and win the game tomorrow. I should hope we win if we score 6 goals.
If there's going to be an outlier, like Colby said, if there's going to be a 6-5 game, it's going to be Sunday.
Yeah.
Because I just don't know how much legs these teams are going to have towards the end. And like Paul Maurice said in his post game, there's a lot of high-end talent on both of these teams, and it's just not working out for them right now.
Brandon says, aside from Barkov and Bob, Lomberg was our best player.
Yeah, no doubt. Lomberg was a beast last night. I saw people on Twitter wanting to rearrange the fourth line again. Sometimes I wonder what game people are watching.
Imanol says, what's up, everyone? Sorry if this was already asked. Just got here, but do you guys see a situation besides injury where Stoli gets a game in?
No.
No. Mom is here.
Oh, your mother's here?
Yeah,
okay.
So
all right, go ahead.
I'm going to be leaving early.
So she showed up 10 minutes early, right? Exactly. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
No, I know. The one time in a million she shows up early.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right.
Make sure you tell your brother so he goes and sees her.
Okay.
Okay. All right, kiddo. Keep me. Yep, love you too.
I got my phone. I'll keep
Okay.
you posted.
Yep. All right. I'm coming over there. Don't worry. Oh,
Let's see.
let me get my old ass in the chair here. Okay. All right. Yeah. In terms of Stolars, I mean, look, even last year when we did the 4 overtimes, Bobrovsky went back out there the next game, even though the Canes went to Ranta. So yeah, I don't think Stolars. The only way Stolars gets in a game, is like if we're winning by 5 or we're losing by 4 or 5, and they want to give Bob some rest. But it's too late now to try to put Stolars in to get into some kind of a groove. It's not worth it. Heck, yeah, hey, I appreciate that, man. I understand it. My dad lives in Florida. We text during the games, but that's about it. Yeah, Colby, that's a good point. Says we beat the Rangers 4-3 at home in December, but it was against Quick. Yeah. He's doing okay, Colby. Ron's my dad. He's doing all right. He ain't dead yet, like we always say. He's still kicking. Mo says Panthers will dominate 3-4. Have no fear. And I would love to see it. I would love to see it. You need to take 3, though. Panthers need to take 3. You know, games 3 and 4 on a tied series are always so, and it just means so much, because while the odds are that we're going to end up 2-2, Panthers still, because we swept in New York, we have a chance, or it's because we split in New York. You know, now we have a chance where all of a sudden game 5 could be an elimination game. That's how fast this stuff goes. I don't think it's going to be an elimination game. Most likely Panthers win 3. I think the Panthers will win Sunday, because I watched them all the time. I think the Panthers will have more legs being at home on Sunday. But then game 4, don't be surprised Rangers take it back, and then we're down to 3 games again, and then, the Rangers got home ice again. Nice. Nick E says 70s hockey constantly had small scuff sports, face shoving, all in the name of bullying. What's with the modern fans and hating teams bullying each other? I cannot believe how soft the league has become. Excuse me. It's just generational, you know. It's the same thing as happened in football, right? And it's like when I grew up watching football in the 80s, even some in the 90s still, the safety came over the middle and obliterated the wide receiver. He was on the highlights, right? It was celebrated. Now, the same type of play, and the guy is called, dangerous and a menace, and you got people on Twitter saying he should be arrested for assault. It's just a product of the way the whole world has gone that way. Just, it is what it is. I'll be a dinosaur, but trying to fight it happening seems to be a losing battle. John says, Jaws, what do we have to do to score multi-goal games within 60 minutes, unlike the previous 2 games? Bury our chances. I mean, Barkov beat Shesterkin, and I know the Rangers has had the same thing, but I mean, he beat him. It was a beautiful move. He beat him. He hits the post, right? You just have to bury your chances. I don't really know that there's anything that we can really do. I mean, they're playing the right way. They're dumping it in. They're winning their board battles, but the Rangers are right there with us. We dump it in. Verhaeghe goes into the corner to go get it. There's a Ranger guy right with them. There's no time. There's no space to even get it out to the middle of the ice. The only thing that I could say is somehow find a way to get more traffic in front. Chucky's shot was from out far. Verhaeghe's not too out far, but Verhaeghe's shot was in between the circles. Maybe instead of trying to worry about, so much with the behind the net and the in close stuff. Maybe let Montour and Forsling, start blasting away from the blue line or in between the blue line and the circles and get traffic in front and try to get some deflections. Like last night, Shesterkin I don't even think he knew where Hagee shot the puck because Rodriguez was in front. And then if you watch Trouba and his man skate in between Rodriguez and Shesterkin, they just skate right through the crease as the puck is going through. I don't even know if Shesterkin knew the puck had left for Hagee's stick. So traffic in front and maybe taking the shots from a little bit further out and just upping the chance that it gets deflected. EK says, what is that? The chat jumped on me a long time here. Jeez. He says, basically, we discovered CTE. If you watch the CBS football intro, every single play in the package is penalties today. Oh, yeah. The Dolphin fans, when they want to compare Tua to Marino or any of these quarterbacks now to the quarterbacks then, I'm like, go watch some highlights. You watch Marino throw, like every third touchdown pass, he would get obliterated. And I mean, like the number of plays that he would just get smashed to the ground and get right back up, that would have been 15 yards and ejections now. You just can't compare the guys. Somebody like Mahomes and Allen and these guys, they can just stand back there and they don't have any worries. They got no worries. All right, let me take a sip of water here. So Paul says we need Bennett back on the second line. He has no chemistry with E2 and Rodriguez. You guys just hate Lundell. Lundell's line is the only one produced any goals. Not going to break that up. Just saying. Yeah, IDK says can't rely on the Rags scoring on their own goals every time, right? Brandon says, I think we need Verhaeghe on the Barkov line again. It might open up things for Reinhart. I mean, look, it's the same thing in reverse, guys. Like, as Panther fans, you think about it, right? If we play our game defensively and Bob is on his game, are we worried about the names on the other team's jerseys? Like, as Panther fans, we feel like they can rearrange the lines all they want. We feel comfortable that we're going to make it work. Well, the Rangers are the same thing. We could talk about rearranging the lines all we want, but it's the system that these two teams play. It's two good teams. They're just mirror images of each other. Hot Dog says we need to study Igor and put Kachuk on the first line. I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I just don't know if we're going to start the game. Which game was it that we started the game like that and then we put things back? Was that game 5 against Boston? I think, maybe. Appreciate that, Costa. But, I mean, look, I understand, and maybe it happens. I understand the desire to maybe make some adjustments. I do. I hadn't thought about it, Paul, from that perspective about Bennett not having any chemistry with those two guys. I mean, Lucian had 2 great chances last night. He couldn't do the wraparound because it's just Shesterkin, right? And Rodriguez, he's been okay. He's been pretty much himself. I mean, you can move Bennett back up there. Can he play the physical style he needs to play? What shape is that hand in? I know he looked good last night. Is Maurice going to want to do that? Are you going to demote Lundell when the only goal we scored, was his line? Well, no. It was a power play goal, actually. So it wasn't even his line that scored. Yeah. John says, what amazed me about the first 2 games in New York? We said these 2 teams were even, but it's just It is mind-numbingly eye-bugging how duplicate these two teams are. That's what I'm talking about with the changing of the lines and the rearranging of the lines. I mean, when you're playing a team with the defense like the Panthers and goaltending, or the same thing when you're playing a team like the defense and the goaltending of the Rangers, it's really not gonna. It's psychological is really the only benefit that you're gonna get out of that, you know. And right now, I'm not so sure I see a psychological benefit in demoting Lundell. Now, if you want to do some moving guys around, right, you could go Barkov, Kachuk, and Reinhart, and then you could go, if you wanted to move some guys around and get Bennett back up to 2, there's any number of ways you could do it. There's so many. Everybody's played with everybody. We just got to bury our chances. If Barkov doesn't hit the crossbar and Luosterainen's successful on one of those wraparounds, we're not having this conversation. You know what I mean? But the same thing with the Rangers game 1, right? They hit the post not long after we got that lead, and then they put it in their own net. So, you know, I'm trying to think if there's something. If I was going to move anything around, honestly, if I wanted to do anything to get the Panthers back to really being in a groove, I would go back to Bennett, Cousins, Kachuk. If you're going to move Bennett back up to 2C, I would put Verhaeghe, Barkov, Reinhart, and then I would go Bennett, Cousins, Kachuk, and move Tarasenko down to the third line with Lundell and Luosterainen. Because when Bennett and Kachuk and Cousins play, it's a different animal. It just good things happen. So, if we were going to make any moves, I know that sounds counterintuitive, but considering the depth we have on the fourth line, you could put Cousins up there. You could just put, you would have to take somebody off the ice though, right? You'd have to add in maybe Rodriguez, you'd have to take somebody off the ice. We got too many good players. we got too many good players, because I would love to see how Bennett, Kachuk, and Cousins would work right now. I understand we got to get Chucky going. Lightning says, just get out there and play your asses off. It's going to come down to who wants it the worst. Safe as death. I like that. Yeah, and that's the truth of it, Lightning. That's why we lost in overtime last night. That's the truth of it. You could see it from the beginning. The Rangers just wanted it a little bit more. They were desperate, and we weren't, right? Listen to what Paul Maurice said after, what do you say? He says, we're not supposed to come into New York and beat the President's Trophy team twice in a row, right? It's like they were not comfortable losing, but they were like, okay, we split. They had already come and did what they came to do in New York a little bit, where the Rangers were desperate, Hey, Rosado, how you doing, buddy? Louis says, what about Cousins, Kachuk, and Bennett? I'm saying that's what what John is saying. Agree with that. Bennett, Cousins, Kachuk has always performed, and adding Cousins would be a little bit more physical versus Rempe. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Rempe didn't. Did Rempe obliterate any of our guys and I missed it last night? I mean, I'm sure he's a good player, but I've never seen a guy get so much attention. Like if he was on Calgary, nobody would know his name, right? The only reason he's a thing is because he's got a couple extra inches and he's in New York. Other than that, I'm not so sure what I see that the guy does that's so special. And I don't mean that as disrespect. It's just he gets so blown up. I don't watch him play that much. And when I see him play, it's kind of like, why are we making such a big deal out of it? Trey says every time he showed a replay of Rempe's hits, they ended up being glancing blows. Hey, Gray White, how you doing, bud? Clearwater. I've probably been through Clearwater, but I don't think I ever stopped on purpose in Clearwater. Hot Dog says Rempe would be building houses if he wasn't big. EJ says Rempe had 8 hits. Right, but I mean, did it? You okay, buddy? Timeout. Okay, he's okay. He's barking in his sleep. I mean, I get what you're saying about him having hits and everything, but it didn't lead to anything. I don't know what I mean, if that's his game, that's his game, but I don't understand why it's well, yeah, it's still something, but it's I don't understand why they're blowing him up the way he is. You know what I mean? Especially since, I mean, anybody, if they focused on just running around the ice hitting people, anybody could do that. You know what I mean? It's okay, you're big, you hit people, but are you contributing? And maybe he is, but it's just the way the media makes him out to be. You would think it was a 6'8" Wayne Gretzky. Yeah. Trey says Kulikov's hit on Rempe was bigger than Kachuk's hit on Trocheck, right? And we still need the trip Trocheck. Right. So, all right. I'm going to go mow my grass. I got the whole thing. I got the hedge trimming. I got to mow the grass. I got to get the chainsaw out. So those of you that come to the stream tonight, this arm is going to be useless. You already see, I got my magnets on my arm here because I got tendonitis right in here at the attachment spot. And now I got to go do chainsaw. So I'm going to be like this. So yeah, I should be fun. Lomberg knocked the dude out of the game. That's right. Oh, there goes Rosado. Oh, Trey. All right, I'm banning Trey. That's it. I'm going to ban Trey, right? Last comment here. John says, making our second line what we talked about makes Tarasenko go to the third line, puts Rodriguez to the fourth line with Stenlund and Lomberg. Right, if we did it that way. I'd give that a chance. Maybe Rodriguez and Lomberg together. Somebody could get a goal. Maybe. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I like it. I'll go talk about it in the recap room because that usually, if I say it in there with the puppets, that room is bugged. Don't do it. Okay, Rosado, we're getting off track. All right, everybody. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. Appreciate it. Thank you for all the super chats. Kyle and I will see you 1/2 hour before the game tonight. I'm going to be doing yard work all day. Kyle is going to be doing walking around outside all day with his mother. It's going to be 90 degrees today. So we will be very extraordinarily incoherently inebriated by the time the stream starts tonight. Should be a blast. Stress-free hockey, and we'll see you then.